Hello, Lularoe consultant friends. I am Amber Galoon, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit today about a topic that's not very much fun, and that is social media smartphone addiction and how it comes into play in your business as a Lularoe consultant. A little bit about me. I'm Amber. I joined Lularoe as a consultant in May of 2015, so a little over a year ago. In March, I and my husband both quit our jobs and hit Lularoe full time, and we're about to hit coach in a couple days. Woo! Um, and this has been a topic that's been kind of on my heart and mind for a while because, I feel like I suffer from it. I suffer from the social media smartphone addiction, and I've seen how it's hurt my business at times. And I've also seen it hurt girls on my team, other consultants, hold them back. The overarching theme being that a lot of people come to me and they say, "Oh, Lularoe takes so much time. It takes so much time to run my business." And I would hazard to say that if you're thinking that, yes, it takes a lot of time and investment of time, but if you feel like it's so overrunning your life, smartphone and social media addiction may be coming into play there. I don't think that half of what you're spending, and if this doesn't apply to you, feel free to ignore it. I'm talking to people who suffer from this like I do. I don't think you're spending half as much time on your business as you actually think you're spending on your business if you suffer from this addiction. You're probably wasting a lot of time on social media and Facebook and Instagram and Periscope, doing things that aren't necessary, doing things that are just bringing down your business, wasting your time, and taking time away from you and your family. So I wanted to talk about it a little bit today. First of all, what do I mean when I say social media and smartphone addiction? Do you need to check into rehab? Maybe. Here's some signs. So if you think you might suffer from this, here are a few signs. The main sign being you have trouble completing tasks at work or at home. So maybe you feel like you spend all this time on your business and nothing's getting done. And meanwhile, the laundry's piling up, the dishes are piling up, your house is in shambles, your kids are screaming, and you're doing takeout for dinner again, and you feel like you can't accomplish anything. um, so if you're having trouble completing tasks despite all this time you're spending on your computer, you may be getting sucked into this addiction. Another sign would be isolation from your family and friends. Do you find yourself kind of retreating to a different room to work on your business? And maybe you are working on your business, but maybe it's because you wasted a lot of time on social media that day and all of a sudden it's desperate and suddenly time you could be spending with your family, you're spending on your computer or your smartphone. Maybe you are retreating under the guise of work, but not actually getting work done. Another sign would be irritable and cranky behavior. Are you on your phone? Are you on your computer and your kid wanders up, your husband wanders in the room, somebody else interrupts you in some way and you bite their head off? Like, what? I'm working. Do you find yourself doing that often? I was finding myself doing that often where my little 5, 6 year old would wander up and say, "Mommy, I need," and I'd be like, "Stop it. I'm trying to work." And I'm looking at my screen and it's like a thread on memes, hilarious Lularoe memes that everybody's sharing. I'm like, really? This is work? um, so if you find yourself biting people's heads off when you're on your phone, on your computer, it's not really normal behavior. It's a little bit addictive behavior. You think if anybody who's interrupted in another kind of addiction might behave a similar way, get really defensive and really irritable when interrupted. Another sign would be an intense FOMO, fear of missing out. So you feel like you have to constantly check in or you're going to miss something. Somebody else is going to have an amazing tip. Somebody else is making more money than you are. Somebody else has figured out the secret to how to take awesome photographs and post them online. Somebody else is going to have an advantage and get the holiday capsule before you do. If you feel like you're constantly feeling that way, like if I don't have my phone glued to my hips at all times, that I'm going to miss out on something that it's going to take to run my business, then you probably suffer from social media addiction. If you're getting up in the middle of the night, you can't sleep, and the first thing you do is checking your phone. When you get up in the morning, the first thing you do is reach for your phone. Those aren't necessarily healthy behaviors to be checking your phone at 2 in the morning, 5 in the morning when you're getting up, unless those are your scheduled work hours. Maybe your kids get up really early, and so that's when you get your work done. That's fine. But if you feel like you're just constantly reaching for your phone at times when you don't need to be, you might suffer from social media addiction. The last one I can think of is feeling extreme anxiety or panic or dread when your phone runs out of batteries, when you forgot your phone at home, when the battery runs down, the operating system dies. So it's like, I don't have my phone. And you have this like intense reaction physically to your lack of phone. Is it going to be okay if you go to Target without your phone? Yes. But if you have this reaction that says it's not going to be okay, that could be a sign of internet addiction. And sometimes it's really subtle too. It's just kind of all of a sudden you notice you're irritable and on edge because you can't find your phone. I call it the twitch. So when your hand twitches, like the first sign of boredom or, feeling lonely, and then you're like, where's my phone? If you're doing the twitch all the time, you might have an addiction problem. So why is social media addiction such a problem as a Lularoe consultant, especially? Why is it more of a problem for us, I'd say, than your average office job or your average 9 to 5? First of all, because you need to legitimately use social media for work. It's a healthy tool. I mean, most of us have Facebook sales, some of us are Periscope sellers. We have to promote, we have to book parties, we have to answer customer service emails and messages. It's a necessary part of our job. So we can't just say, social media, be gone. I'm done with you with my job. In today's day and age, it's necessary. You could switch to a phone-based booking system and still book parties, but I would say that, most of us do it online these days, and that's what our customers expect, how they expect to reach us. And so if you set that precedent, it is necessary. And that's a little bit scary because I can't just say, I'm going to log off Facebook and I'm going to just do my work because my work is Facebook. That's really hard. If it's like working in a bar as an alcoholic and expecting to not fall into that addictive behavior. It's hard. The second thing that makes it such a problem is that FOMO, fear of missing out, is part of what we build our business model on. We create it for our customers. We create it within our pages, and I think we create it between each other, and the company creates it for us. It seems like someone's always sharing amazing ideas, limited time only announcements, capsule releases, heads up information, helpful webinars, secret tips, or even, a funny threads rolling, and you don't want to be like the one person who didn't contribute to it, or you didn't want to be not in that side conversation that all the cool kids were having. Fear of missing out can keep us glued to our screens. It can. I would love to challenge all of you to miss out intentionally more often. If you feel like there's a behavior or a thread or a pattern that is keeping you from running your business and from spending time with your family, then miss out. You're not going to miss out in the end. You're not going to truly miss out if you miss out on that one thread, that one little capsule release. I intentionally missed out on the 4th of July capsule release because I could see that they were having technical difficulties when it launched. It was going to take a couple hours of my time, and I could see people just getting flustered, freaking out. Somebody posted a meme of like, sorry, of a cartoon sim sitting at the computer with a baby lit on fire behind them. And everybody was laughing because we're all sitting at our computer screens, glued to our screens for this capsule release. And, meanwhile, our kids are going unparented. Excuse me. So I chose, after watching that for like 20, 30 minutes, I'm like, I'm not doing this capsule release. I'll wait. If there's something left over, I'll jump in on it then. Sure enough, there were a few things left over afterwards. I was able to grab some stuff. And, so sorry. And I got some 4th of July stuff in my next order randomly. So I didn't miss out, even though I chose to miss out. And I got other stuff done during that couple hours. Sorry. Okay. So the third thing, why is social media addiction such a problem? The third thing is that there's always something urgent happening on social media that's not necessarily important. I think about things I send to my upline sometimes where I'm having a minor issue And, oh, I can't find that. Oh, where was that? Where were those colors? Like the colors, the HTML colors I need to put this, I can't find them. So first thing I do is I message my upline and I say, where were those colors? That's urgent. I need those colors right now. And she could take time over her day to respond immediately. Oh, hey, let me find them for you and find them for me. Or I could have just Googled that and found them. Or I could have just searched in a teen training page and found them. So if you feel like you're constantly answering questions all day, responding to threads and such, and all of it seems very urgent, but you're not really getting anywhere in your business, you may just be responding to these things that are urgent but not important. Had my sponsor not responded and sent me that, would it have been the end of my business? Would I have quit? Probably not. I would have gone and searched and found it for myself and learned to be a creator. So think about how you're spending your time. Are you enabling your downlines or your teammates to not find information for themselves by constantly responding to every little thing and creating kind of codependency? Or are you empowering them to be able to find the answers for themselves and saying, hey, this is urgent, it's not important, so I'm not going to answer it right now. I'm going to wait a little bit and see if they figure it out for themselves. Some other things that are urgent but ultimately not important include venting or spending undue time responding to others' vents. So on a team training page, somebody goes, oh, I'm having such a hard day. And they just spill it all out and they vent. And then you're sitting there thinking, oh, well, you should be doing this, this, and this, or maybe you need to try this, or this would help you feel better. And so you're spending like an hour responding to them to the point where all of a sudden you're running their business more than you're running your own business. It's okay to encourage a teammate, and you should, if they're having a hard day and they come to you, but you don't need to spend an undue amount of time running their business for them and continuing to encourage past the point of no return where they just wanted to vent and that was it. You don't need to write an essay in return. Arguing the best way to do things on a team page. So maybe there's a thread going where people are saying, oh, I prefer to use groups. I prefer to use events. You can get sucked into those threads very easily where you're just going back and forth on the best way to do something and then realizing you're not actually doing anything toward your business that day. Playing police or babysitter. So you see a teammate that's doing something against policy and you decide you need to take it upon yourself to right the situation. And rather than just contacting their sponsor and saying, heads up, here it is, you're, messaging them and messaging home office and trying to get them in trouble, going a step beyond just confrontation or care for them and trying to get them in trouble. That is a big time waster. I think if you spend too much time doing that, policing other people's businesses instead of running your own. Buy, sell, trade pages are a huge time suck. Stay away. It's a constant stream of pretty prints and maybe they're slightly below retail or maybe they're selling them at wholesale. And so you get sucked into looking at them all and communicating. Maybe you want to put a few of your own prints there and suddenly you're not doing behaviors that are running your business and selling to customers at retail at MAP pricing, but rather kind of short selling yourself, wasting a lot of time on shipping negotiations. I find that consultants to consultant transactions are like the worst at follow through because consultants think, I promised this to this other consultant, but they're another consultant, so they can wait till I send everything to my customers first. So I find that half of those transactions on those buy sell trade pages fall through anyway. It's a huge time suck if you're spending a lot of your time online perusing those pages. Hitting refresh all day on Audrey. So if there's a capsule release or you're waiting for leggings to come back in stock and you're sitting in front of your computer just going refresh, 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 that's not building your business. There comes a point where you need to say leggings or that capsule. It's not going to break my business if I don't have it. I'm going to spend my time doing something else today, and I'm going to focus on doing this when it's back in stock, on ordering when it's back in stock. Posting and sharing funny memes, little side conversations. Those are fun. I won't want to say don't be social on social media because it's a part of it. But save that for time after work. Save that for your reward. Say if I work for an hour and I respond to these messages and I post up my pictures or do whatever I have to do, then I'm going to go talk to my Lularoe friends and have some fun for 15 minutes. save it for afterwards, because otherwise you can easily be sucked into spending a full hour talking. Finally, browsing YouTube or Pinterest. Um, excuse me, I'm getting sick. For ideas uh, and webinars and cool marketing materials more than you're actually using those materials or following through on the ideas. If you've got a stockpile of ideas and you're still browsing Pinterest over here for more ideas, maybe you need to try a few in your stockpile before you go looking for more. So make sure you're not getting sucked into that, where you're doing more dreaming, scheming than actually implementing. So what is the solution here? Because we talked about the problem and we talked about why it's a problem, and we talked about some things that might suck you in as so urgent but totally unnecessary and not important in the scheme of running your business. Some solutions would be this. If you're only a little bit addicted, you might be able to self-restrict your online usage. You might be able to say, I'm going to give myself an hour to be on Facebook this morning, and then I'm going to turn it off. And you might be able to self-restrict that way. If you're very addicted, you won't be able to do this because you will get sucked in and you will sit down saying, I'm going to answer 5 emails. And then the next thing you know, you're sharing funny memes over on this thread over here, responding to this on Facebook because you get sucked in too easily. If you know yourself and you know that you're not going to be able to self-regulate, you need to move on to option 2, and that is employ a babysitter. This could be your husband or your friend or even one of your kids, or a timer, something that's going to be a little abrasive, to kind of tell you when to get offline. If you tell your husband, I want to spend an hour responding to emails right now, and then I want you to come in and shut my laptop, that's going to hold you a little bit more accountable than if you're just saying, oh, yeah, after an hour, I'm going to do this. There's a new device by Disney I've seen circulating called Circle, and you can pay for this thing. I don't know how much it is, but you can regulate your entire family's smartphone and internet usage supposedly, and there's an off switch, so you can click off and then nobody in your house can use the internet and put people on timeout. I think you can also time Facebook and such so that you can only use it a short while. So that might be worth looking into. There's probably some less all-encompassing, free to cheap apps that you can use on your phone that will also do similar things to lock you out of sites after you've used them a certain amount of time. It sounds silly to say that you have to pay for these services, but if you find that you can't self-regulate, you may have to. It's going to be it's like slow leaking of time out of your business and out of your day. I love the book. So come up with some time management solutions. I love the book, The One Thing. It was recommended to me by another Lularoe leader, because at any given time, you ask yourself, what's the one most important thing I can do for my business right now that by doing this one thing is going to make everything else that I need to do unnecessary? If you can constantly search for that one thing, you're going to come out ahead in terms of time management, because you're not going to waste your time doing all these other little things that could have been taken care of by doing the one thing. So this video is an example of the one thing I decided to do during my half-an-hour break right here. And that is because on my to-do list, there were a lot of things that were kind of solved by making this video. Connect with my downlines was on there. I wanted to kind of introduce myself to people I hadn't met yet. I also wanted to talk about social media addiction, and I had on my to-do list, write post about social media addiction. I wanted to make another training webinar video. And so all these things that were kind of on my to-do list, I thought, okay, well, I can make one video and tick off these 6 things that I had hoped to accomplish today with the one video. So if you're always looking for those things, how can I do this one thing that will make 10 other things unnecessary? It's going to help you to hone in on those things and hopefully not get as distracted by social media and other things. Sleep with your phone on airplane mode. Don't even have it by your bed. I try to charge mine in the kitchen when possible. Turn off your alerts if you don't have airplane mode, or if you need to keep it on for, your on-call nurse or something. Turn off your Facebook. They come across the front of your phone. Turn that off. There is a way you can do that through the app. Don't fire up your computer or your smartphone first thing in the morning. Start by making a paper to-do list. So a old-fashioned paper to-do list because you know in your brain things that you need to do without looking at all your messages and everything. So if you can come up with those most important things before you even fire up your computer, and then, maybe once you've written it all down, you can fire it up and see, okay, is there any new, somebody messaged me about something important. I would start with non-Facebook work-related tasks. So maybe you check your email first. Email, I avoid email because email I know is all going to be drudgery and business. And so I naturally avoid it. I say, I'm going to check Facebook first because on Facebook you're going to get those little social rewards of some little fun posts mixed in with the customer service request posts. Whereas email, it's going to be all customer service for the most part. It's going to be all business related. So start with your email and then reward yourself with some social time on Facebook. The last final thing that's been working the best for me is to create a life outside of Facebook that you aren't trying to escape from. Because I think many of us started Lularoe as maybe stay-at-home moms or people in jobs that we didn't necessarily care for. And once we really got rolling with Lularoe, it was easy to use Lularoe and social media as an escape from our other reality. So maybe you've got 3 screaming kids at home and they're all begging for your attention, and it's way more fun to talk about skirts online. I would say if you feel like you're constantly escaping to your Lularoe world from your reality, then you need to work on your reality, making it something you don't want to escape from. So scheduling more things that you want to do, vacations, fun things with your kids, outings, maybe a side hobby. Maybe you're going to take a trip, go out to eat. Fun things, schedule them in your day. Don't say, I have to work, so I can't. Schedule those things and then trust that you're going to fit your work around those things, because you're going to waste a far less time online if you have less time to spend online. Something I noticed we went out of town this weekend for 5 days camping, and I had very spotty internet, so I could get it in certain spots and it was very slow. And then finally I found Wi-Fi after like 3-4 days. I found a Wi-Fi connection, and I was like, I had spent these 3 days completely off the grid, and I thought, I'm having so much fun here with my kids and camping that even with this Wi-Fi connection, I really don't want to be like sitting over here at the nature center or the comfort station, whatever it was called, working when I could be over here swimming and playing with my kids. And so because I had way more fun things on my agenda, I said, okay, I'm going to spend this much time working and I'm going to go get it done. And I went and got everything done way faster than I would have ever gotten it done at home, because at home, the alternative was, dishes and laundry. And when I was on vacation, the alternative was fun. So my work time was way more productive. There's that saying, it goes something like, so work expands to fill the time allotted for its completion. So if you have 3 hours to book 5 parties, you're going to take 3 hours to book those 5 parties, and you're going to waste a lot of time in between. But if you have 3 minutes to book those 5 parties, like they do challenges, they used to do on the Inspired Tour type of things, like see how many parties you can book in 5 minutes. And people would book like crazy amounts of parties because they had that time parameter and that challenge to get it done in a short amount of time. So if you can create for yourself work periods between fun periods, and make your work not an escape from your life, but an enhancement to your life, and your life something that you don't want to escape from. And I know that's a big task, but if you can come up with fun things that you're looking forward to, you're going to get your work done a lot faster. You're going to waste a lot less time online. So good luck. If anybody has anything else to share on the topic of social media addiction, please share it in the comments. I'll be sharing this on a couple different places. It's a hard topic, but I don't think it has to be a scary topic. I think it can be addressed. I think we can work on it. I think we can be there to support each other, hopefully offline, haha. And I think that we can achieve a point where we're spending less time on our business and still getting just as much done, just if we're being aware of how much of our time is being sucked by addiction as opposed to actual work. So good luck. Love you all. And thanks for tuning in. Bye.